Hi, welcome to the farm. Today I'm going to cook something extremely simple. I'm going to fix pinto beans. And you may be like, who in the world wants to do a video on pinto beans? Who doesn't know how to cook pinto beans? Well, when I was first married, I didn't know how to cook pinto beans. Now, it's not to say I wasn't exposed to pinto beans. I grew up eating them quite often. My mother was a good cook. The thing was, she just didn't particularly like to cook. And so therefore she never really made me cook either. And then I married this country boy whose mother was a fabulous cook. And so I needed to learn how to cook some basic things. My mother-in-law and I had a great relationship. We lived on the farm right across the road from them, and we got along great, and she taught me so much about cooking. I've often jokingly said, and I think I've said it on another video, that I learned how to use a hammer from my mother and learned how to cook from my mother-in-law. Now, Mother had her special things that she was very good at, and I have done videos on doing chicken and dumplings, which was her specialty. I may someday do a video on what we call Appalachian apple stack cake, which was, there's a whole story behind doing stack cakes. But back to the pinto beans. I want to show this because I'm going to add something else later in the video. I'm going to put some more things with it, like fixing potato cakes, or some people call them potato patties out of leftover mashed potatoes, and fixing cornbread. So this is just going to be our meal for tonight. So I thought I'd just share that with you. So I have pinto beans here. You can see them there. They're in water. I looked these and washed them last night, and so they have soaked since last night. If you don't have time to soak them overnight ahead of time, you can do what's called a quick soak. That's where you put them in the pot, and then you let them come to a boil and then set them off for a couple of hours. So, and I just realized I don't have my pot out. So let me pause this video and I'll get the pot. Okay, got the pot out. So now I think I've got everything together. But anyway, the beans have been soaking overnight, and so I'll just take a colander and pour them in there to strain the water off. And then I'll put them in the pot. Now, like I was saying, you can do a quick soak and let the water let it come to a boil, and then set them off and then drain that off. This way you don't have to drain them again before we cook them. So what I'm going to do, I've got a pint of ham broth, where I made a turn of broth from some ham bones that were left from Christmas. And if you don't have something like that, you can cook beans in chicken broth. That's very good for you. You can also use bacon grease to season it with. I'm not going to say if I use that or not. But you can also use olive oil or any other kind of healthy seasoning that you like. So I'm going to put ham broth in this. And I may need probably we'll need a little bit more water than just a pint of ham broth. Yeah, I'll need at least another pint of water. Now let me add just a little more, because these are going to cook for a little while. And you want to keep watch on the beans that the water doesn't get down too low on it, depending on if you like your beans soupy or not. We do like ours very soupy. Now to put into that, I've got a little ham bone here that I saved from a slice of country ham that I fixed for my husband some time back. And then I have some ham that I've had in the freezer. Actually, it came off of this ham bone when I was making this broth. I picked some of this meat off the bone. There was still some good meat left on there. So I've got, well, there's a good size piece. I think I want to cut that one up. You want to cut your ham pieces up, just chunk it up into pieces in there. Okay, and I'm going to put just a little bit more in there, and then I'll put the rest of this back in the freezer for next time. Now what I'm going to do is just going to put this on the stove on medium high, let it come to a boil, and then I'm going to turn it down and let it simmer. It will probably, I'm sorry, I got distracted by something there. It will probably cook for a couple of hours, and then I'll watch the water, make sure the water doesn't get down too low on it. And then I'll come back later and show you the finished product with this, and show you how to make the potato cakes and the cornbread. Now, I'm not going to put any salt in this just now. I'll wait until it's just about done, and I'll taste it, because I've got this ham and the ham broth in it. It may not need any extra salt, or it may need just a little bit. So I'll come back and show you the next later. Hi, welcome back. This part of the video is actually the next day after cooking the pinto beans. When I got the beans about done and was getting ready to fix the potato patties, I realized I had much more mashed potatoes than I thought I had, so we just ate them plain, mashed potatoes and gravy, with the beans last night. And so tonight I'm going to make what's left of the potato, mashed potatoes up into potato cakes. I'm going to show you how to make cornbread too. This is the beans that we cooked yesterday. I think you can probably see the chunks of ham in there, and that was really good. I'll just heat some of that up tonight. This is the skillet that I'm going to make cornbread in, and since this is my quote cornbread skillet, I keep it just for cornbread, and so I've used it so much and it's seasoned so well that it doesn't stick. Now watch it stick this time. But anyway, I just wipe it out from the last use. Wipe it out with a paper towel. Now, a lot of people will say they never wash their cast iron. If mine's dirty, I wash it. But now, I keep a skillet particularly for scrambling eggs, and a skillet for cornbread, and I try not to wet those, but if cornbread's stuck in this for some reason, I would wash it. I would use a scratcher pad on it. I would get it clean, then I would re-season it in the oven again, and I may do a video on that another time. But anyway, I'm going to take this skillet and I'm going to preheat the oven to about 415 or so, and I'll put this in the oven and let it be getting hot while I'm getting the potatoes ready. Now I have another skillet here that's kind of out of sight. I'll try to show it in a minute. I've got to put some oil in it, so I need to pause this just for a moment while I get the oil. I had to pause it because now the easel, of course, was sitting right in front of the cabinet where the oil goes. So I'm going to go ahead and put the oil in the skillet. This is olive oil. I would really like to use bacon grease for this, but I've probably used enough of not so good stuff in the beans and everything else. So I'll just put regular oil in there, olive oil, and I'll turn that on about medium high. Okay, the mashed potatoes are here, the leftover mashed potatoes, and what we'll do with that is take, first thing I do is add an egg. It will depend on how much potatoes you have, whether you use 1 or 2 eggs. I'll put that eggshell in my basket to put that in the garden. So I'll add an egg, and then I'll add some flour. Now this is just regular self-rising flour to add to the potatoes. And again, depending on how much potatoes you have, it is determined by how much flour you'll put in it. You just want to stir that up together. Did you see that? I just sloshed some of that out on the floor. Just want to mash this up or stir this up well. And what the flour does is it causes the potatoes to hold together along with the egg. I think I'm going to need a little bit more flour for that. My bowl's just about empty. I keep my flour in the refrigerator. We buy it in bulk and keep it in the freezer until I open it up and put some in a bowl, keep it in the refrigerator. Okay. Boy, that's going to be pretty good. You want it to where it holds together well. Now, you can put onion in this, you can put sweet peppers in it, you can put cheese in it, you can put all kinds of things in this, anything that you would like to have in your potato cakes. Some people call them potato pancakes. The reason I don't is that my husband doesn't care for that in it. Now, I have got an onion here that I'm going to add to the very last part. And I'll do that one for me because I like onions in everything. Okay, I want to see if my oil is hot. What you can do with your skillet, you've got your oil in it and it's heating, you can take just a drip of water and it's not quite hot enough yet. It has to, it kind of sizzles a little bit whenever it's hot enough. And you want your oil hot before you put the potato cakes down in it. Well, it's beginning to sizzle now. Let me try one. Almost. Turn it up just a little bit. Let it get hot a little quicker. I hear it's popping now. I'll heat these beans. I prefer reheating beans in a pan on the stove rather than in the microwave, but you can heat them in the microwave if you like that. Now what I'll do is just take a spoonful of this potato cake or potato batter and pop it down in the oil. Let me see if I can turn that camera to where you can see that a little bit better. Actually, I think I made it stop recording when I did that, but now it's recording again, and you can see the potatoes there. Yeah. I think you can probably hear those sizzling. Now, for this, I'm going to cut this onion and the rest of this. Our garden has started coming in, and I pulled up one little onion the other day because something had gotten into them. We have a lot of trouble with deer and turkeys and rabbits and things like that in our garden. So I pulled this one and brought it in. We do all kinds of things to prevent those. We have electric fence around the garden. We have something that's called deer blasters. It's really so funny. What it is, it's motion detectors with a radio, an AM radio, and a light. And what happens is the AM radios, you can't set the station. And so it just has to pick up whatever station it picks up. So we may have one deer blaster that picks up a local NPR station, another one may pick up a local country station, one pick up a Christian station, and we may hear opera going on over here. I mean, it is so funny just to be in the garden and to hear that thing going off. And then we also, here's a little trick if you have trouble with deer in your garden, or even if you have trouble with deer eating your flower plants. Now my skillet's hot there. But, and that is to take Irish Spring soap and cut that up around your garden. It is a great deer deterrent. Okay, I've got that. Let me take another, this one over here. See, I've got some onion, nice purple onion cut up into potato patties for me. Okay. Now, let's see, I need to turn these, I think. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty. They're beginning to get nice and golden brown. Okay. Now, while those are cooking, I'm going to get my cornbread ready, and I'll need to put this in the, put the rest of that in the skillet. So for the cornbread, of course I can't find a pot holder. All right, let's take this hot skillet out of the oven. And I'm going to take a spoon and get just a little bit of Crisco on the back of the spoon, and then I'll just run this around and let it melt down into the skillet. Boy, those potato cakes are smelling good. All right, got that. Now that will be, have to watch that handle. That's really, really hot. Okay, for my cornbread, I just make a really, really basic cornbread. I've seen people do all kinds of different things with cornbread. We just like pretty well plain cornbread. What I'll do is I just take plain self-rising cornmeal. This is a local Food City brand of meal. This is the same meal I use for making hot tamales, by the way, if you've happened to see that video. So I'll take, for this skillet, depending on how thick you like your cornbread, I sort of try to make it in between thick and thin. My husband likes it thin and crispy. I like it a little thicker with more crumb to it. So I would say that's probably maybe a couple of cups of meal and another egg in that. These are eggs we get from a local, from a friend, and so I cracked them one at a time. Nice, rich, yellow eggs. Sometimes I put an egg in it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I put a little flour in it, sometimes I don't. But since I've got the flour handy here, I'll put probably about a couple of tablespoons in that. Let's see, where'd my spatula go? I need to turn my potato cakes. I guess I had that oil maybe about a quarter inch, maybe half inch deep in that. I don't use a whole lot of oil because I don't like to waste it. I don't like to use up really much more than it's going to take to fry that. Let me get the milk. This is just regular drinking milk. I believe this is 2%. Yeah, sometimes I get whole milk, sometimes I get 2%, sometimes I get low fat. Depends on what's on sale or what's got the longest expiration date. Sometimes I use buttermilk in it, but the cornbread I made last night, I made just exactly this way with this milk, and it was so good. All right, let's do it again the same way. Just stir that up together. You want to make sure it's all moistened well. You don't want to stir it to death, which I'm bad about doing. But I found the least amount that you stir it, that you can get by with stirring it and still get it all mixed up, the better off you are. Okay, now pour this into this hot skillet. The oil rises up around the side of it. If you've seen many of my videos, you know I like to get every last drop out. Okay. Now I'll put this back in the oven. It's set on, like I said, about 415, I think. I'll let this bake for about 30 minutes or so and check it, and then we'll see how it comes out of the skillet. The potato cakes are looking great. I'll finish these up, and when the cornbread gets done, I'll come back and show you how everything looks. How's that? All right, we're back. The potato patties are finished. They turned out beautifully. You see this little bitty one right here? I've been tempted to eat it all along, but I wanted to wait until we came back. Just going to taste that. Oh man, that's delicious. So, now the cornbread's finished. The timer's gone off, so let's take it out. And there we go. I've got some cucumbers and a couple of small tomatoes from the garden. They're just beginning to turn now. So this is going to be a great supper. I've got the pinto beans warming here. Here's the cornbread. Sliding right out. You see how clean the skillet is. When this cools, I'll wipe it out for cornbread the next time. Now, there's one more thing you need to know, and this is a rule. When you have hot cornbread straight out of the oven, it's a rule. You got to cut a piece, put a little butter on it. So that's what I'm going to do next. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's helped you. If you have any comments, please leave them below. Please subscribe, ring the bell to get the subscriptions, like, share, all that kind of stuff, and be sure and check out our blogs. And I'll leave web addresses for that. So if you have any questions, any comments, please feel free. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have a great day.